Okay guys, welcome to English 7. We are looking at page 211. 211. Now, I had you go ahead and finish some of these on your own. And let's look at what you did. You started with number 7 on exercise A. Nobody ever outgrows scripture. The book widens and deepens with years. So the first thing you looked for was your conjunction, which in this case was just a semicolon. Then you said, is there any subordinate conjunctions, or are there any pronouns that introduce, relative pronouns that introduce a clause? And in this case, there's not. So then we looked for our verbs. We had outgrows. Who outgrows? Nobody outgrows. And widens and deepens our verb, and who widens, who deepens, book. So we have a independent clause plus a conjunction, and then another independent clause. So our answer is a compound sentence. Number 8, the athlete began and ended the day with stretching. Okay, again, we look through there and we see no conjunctions. Well, we see the conjunction and, but it's not connecting sentences. It's just connecting two words. So we don't worry about that. Okay, so then we say, okay, is there any subordinated conjunctions? Is there a relative pronoun? There is not. So then we say, what's the verbs? Began and ended. Who began? Athlete. Who ended? Athlete. So we have a subject, verb, verb. What pattern is that? It's just subjects and verbs, no conjunctions or anything. So that is a simple sentence. We have one independent clause. Number 9, the land and climate of the region largely determined the kinds of plants and animals that are found there. Okay, do you have any coordinating conjunctions? You do not. Do you have any relative pronouns or subordinating conjunctions? You do. The word that. That are found there. That is a dependent clause. What's the verb? Are found. What's the subject? There. Are there any more verbs? Yes, determined. Who or what determined? Land, climate. So land and climate determined is an independent clause or independent sentence. So we have one independent, one dependent. So our sentence is complex. Number 10, we should flee from the friendship of the world. Well, from the friendship and of the world are both prepositional phrases. So all we have left is we should flee. Would flee, or should flee, sorry, is the verb and we is the subject. So that is a simple sentence. It's one independent clause, so it is a simple sentence. Exercise B. My cousin brought watermelons, strawberries, kiwis, and pineapples for the fruit salad. Okay? Well, for the fruit salad is a prepositional phrase. Then we look and say, well, there's no conjunctions, there's no semicolons, so let's look for our verbs. Brought. Who brought? Cousin brought. That is a simple sentence. Number 2, when we were younger, we had a pet rabbit, a cat, and a dog. Okay? There's no coordinating conjunction. There's no semicolon. So let's look for our subordinate conjunctions and look for our relative pronouns. What did you see? When we were younger. Put brackets around that. When we were younger is a what kind of clause? Dependent clause. Then we had a rabbit, a pet rabbit, a cat, and a dog. That is a independent clause. So we have what? If you have one dependent and one independent clause, you have a complex sentence. Look at number 3. He who runs from God in the morning will scarcely find him the rest of the day. Okay? I don't see any semicolons. I don't see any conjunctions. Do I see any relative pronouns, or do I see a subordinating conjunction? I do. Who runs from God in the morning? Okay, who runs from God in the morning? What is that? That's a dependent clause. Okay, so we have one dependent clause. We have one independent clause with no conjunction, so that is a complex sentence. Number 4, in spite of its famous neutrality, Switzerland has an impressive military organization. Now, you see that comment at the beginning when it says, in spite of its famous neutrality? Is that a clause? No. In spite is what? In spite of its. That is a prepositional phrase. Okay, in spite of its famous neutrality, that is not a clause. It has, in order to be a clause, it has to have a subject and a verb. So it's not a clause. We're going to ignore that part and keep going. Switzerland has an impressive military organization. That is one independent clause, is one thought. So that is a simple sentence. Number 5, the spectacular Swiss Alps, which include the Matterhorn, cover the southern 50% of Switzerland. And Jura Mountains cover another 10% in the north. Okay? Do we have a semicolon? We do. So let's look in front of it. Do we have a clause or relative pronoun or a subordinate conjunction? We do again. Which include the Matterhorn. Okay? That's a clause. So the spectacular Alps covers the southern 50% of Switzerland. That's an independent clause. Which include the Matterhorn is a dependent clause. Then we have a conjunction. We have a semicolon. After it, we have the Jura Mountains cover another 10% in the north. That is a what? Independent clause. So you have a dependent clause, an independent clause, a conjunction, and an independent clause. Okay, you have 2 independent clauses joined with a conjunction, so we know that it's either what? Compound or compound complex. It has a dependent clause. That makes it compound complex, okay? Look at the next one. You can hardly make a friend in a year, but you can easily lose one in an hour. Okay? Do you have a conjunction? You do, comma, but. So look in front of that conjunction. You can hardly make a friend in a year. Do you have an independent clause or do you have a dependent clause here? You have an independent clause. Look after it. You can easily lose one in an hour. That is what? Independent clause. So we have independent clause, a conjunction, then an independent clause. So we have a compound sentence. Look at number 7. The Lord shall hear those who call upon his name and deliver them. Okay, there's no conjunctions. Is there a subordinating clause, a subordinating conjunction? There is not. Is there a relative? All right, those who call upon, there is those who call upon his name. Okay, that's a dependent clause. Okay, the Lord shall hear and deliver them. That is our independent clause. So we have one independent and one dependent. So we have what kind of a sentence? Complex. Look at number 8. The wise will hear instruction, but the fool will reject correction. Do we have a coordinating conjunction or a semicolon? We do, the word but. So look in front of that. The wise will hear instruction. Do we have a subordinating conjunction or a relative pronoun? No. Do we have an independent clause? Yes. Wise will hear. Look after the coordinating conjunction. The fool will reject correction. Do we have a relative pronoun? No. Do we have a subordinated conjunction? No. Do we have an independent clause? Yes. Fool will reject. So we have independent clause, conjunction, independent clause. So we have a compound sentence. Look at the last one. The oldest international sporting trophy, which was first awarded in 1851, is the America's Cup. It is awarded for the sport of sailing. Okay? So do we have a conjunction or a semicolon? We do. So put a box around that. Now, in front of that, do you have a relative pronoun or a supporting conjunction? You do. That starts your clause, which was first awarded in 1851. So your independent clause, the oldest international sporting trophy, is the America's Cup. Then you have a dependent clause, which was first awarded in 1851. Then you have a conjunction. After the conjunction, you have it is awarded for the sport of sailing. That is a independent clause. So you have independent plus a dependent clause, then a conjunction, then an independent clause. What do you have? A compound complex sentence. Now I want you to turn over on your book, please, to page 216. 216. Let's look at exercise A. This is a review of manuscript, capitalization, and punctuation. Okay, we've done dozens of these sentences, so let's look through them quickly. Please write to me this summer at 5025 Greenbrier Road, Lansing, Michigan, 48917. Okay, what are we going to do? Capitalize the P because it's the first word of the sentence. Capitalize the G in Greenbrier because it's the name of a street. Capitalize the letter R in road. Put a comma after road. Capitalize the L in Lansing, comma after Lansing. Capitalize the M in Michigan, and a period at the end of the sentence. We put a comma after road to separate the address from the city and state. A comma after Lansing to separate the city and state. Number 2, in BC 49, Julius Caesar became emperor of the Roman Empire. What do we want to do? Well, we're going to move BC. It's capitalized and it has periods, but it goes after the 49. Then we're going to capitalize Julius, capitalize Caesar, capitalize Roman, capitalize Empire, and put a period at the end of the sentence. Number 3, yes, Asher, my mother did write an article for the Reader's Digest, I replied. Okay, so what are we going to do? Someone's talking, so we're going to put quotation marks. So quotations, capitalize the Y in yes, put a comma after the word yes. Why? We separate introductory words. Yes, no, well, and oh. Those have a comma after them. Capitalize the A in Asher because that's his name. Put a comma after Asher because we're talking to Asher. That's a direct address. Capitalize the R in Readers, the D in Digest because that's the name of a magazine. A comma after Digest because that's the end of our quote, and then quotation marks. Capitalize the word I and put a period after replied. Look at number 4. Mr. and Mrs. Scott Hathaway rented a summer home near Green Cove last July. Capitalize the M in Mr. and put a period. Capitalize the M in Mrs. and put a period. Capitalize the word Scott, capitalize T, put a period. Capitalize the H in Hathaway. Capitalize the Green, capitalize Cove, capitalize July, and put a period. Those were all proper names. Number 5, Maine, Pennsylvania, and Massachusetts are good states to visit during the summer. But Florida, California, and Hawaii attract many visitors during the winter time. Okay, we're going to capitalize all of these states. Capitalize Maine, comma, capitalize P in Pennsylvania, comma, capitalize Massachusetts. We put those commas because that is a list of states. Put a semicolon after summer. There's not a conjunction, but yet we have 2 independent sentences. So to put 2 independent sentences together without a conjunction, we need to use a semicolon. Capitalize Florida, comma, capitalize California, comma, and Hawaii, because again, those are names of states, and then a period. Number 6, William Jennings Bryan, a statesman from Nebraska, served as the Secretary of State during the administration of President Woodrow Wilson. Capitalize the name, William Jennings Bryan, comma. A statesman from, capitalize Nebraska, comma. Now we put commas before and after our what? That's in a positive. A statesman from Nebraska. It's non-essential, okay? Then capitalize President Woodrow Wilson. I want you to look at exercise B. I'm not going to give you an online assignment. What I am going to ask you to do is I want you to do exercise B, C, and D. When you come back, I want to go over these. Guys, it's super important. This is the only way I have to review with you for your test this coming week. So you have a test over this, what we're going over right here, units 1 through 11. Then you have a final exam. Please make sure that you are ready. So tonight's homework is exercise B, C, and D. And that in your book, there's nothing online. And I'd like for you to send to me the word, send to me your favorite Bible verse. Give me the reference to your favorite Bible verse. That'll put your name in the drawing again. All right? Have a good day.